My name is Charlie McGrath, the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. Governed by crisis was used once again today as S&P came out towards the end of the business day, claiming 15 of the 17 nations that use the euro as their currency are on downgrade watch and could be downgraded from their AAA status if they don't play their cards right, potentially within the next 90 days. Now, we've seen this tactic used before, most recently here in the United States, when we had a rating agency downgrade us, and the end result was the creation of the Super Congress after the ability of Congress to give themselves a $2 trillion increase to our national credit card debt. So what is going to be the payoff for the banksters with this S&P potential downgrade? What is the legislation they'll look to get passed? Well, we saw it come out this morning. Merkel and Sarkozy talking about a redo on the EU treaty. Now, this isn't the first time this is brought up. In fact, Wolfgang Schäuble whispered in Merkel's ear nearly a year ago about how it's time to use this European crisis to get a stronger policy, a stronger fiscal policy inside of Europe, which is code word for taking sovereignty of the nations of Europe, giving that power to Brussels so that they can look at the budgets of nations before the parliaments of these nations even has a chance to vote on them. Now, it really seems boring and not important, but you need to understand, all this is being done in the name of having these banks not to have to take any loss whatsoever on the gambles that they took with the sovereign debt of these nations that are imploding. The whole notion of somehow we're going to, throw out sovereignty of nations and force them into austerity, and that's going to fix the problem, is a complete and utter joke. It fixes the problem for the bankers because they're guaranteed that they will not have to take a loss, and it fixes a problem for the people of the country, and it guarantees they will have no financial future that they can call their own. In fact, one of the European bankers came out today talking about how when they asked the banks to take a 50% haircut in Greece on that sovereign debt, that was truly the problem that caused the debt to spiral out of control with the other European nations, and how this was a huge mistake. So the bankers are coming out outright saying that it's a bad idea to ask the banks to take a haircut, and if you do, it's going to cause a panic, and it's going to cause the next great whatever. Armageddon, depression, the same scare tactics, the same financial terror tactics we've seen used over and over again. So why should you care if you're sitting here inside the United States what happens over there in Europe? Why should you care? Well, an article attached to this video will show you exactly why you should care. Tim Geithner is heading over to Europe this weekend, and the stories are already being released today from Reuters that the Federal Reserve, that's right, our Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve is going to potentially lend money to the IMF so they can avoid any onerous treaty laws inside of the European Union, and the IMF can take that money and bail out, do backdoor banker bailouts inside of the European zone. Once again, straddling a banker's fraudulent failure onto the backs of the people of this country without representation and without the permission, without even the knowledge on the most part for the people of this country. Stories are attached. That's all I got.